Have you ever wondered why are you doing what you are doing and why are you doing the way you are doing? As I said, this could be a confusing question, but keep asking this question as many number of times in a day as possible. Sometimes we take very strong decisions, very difficult decisions, painful decisions, and we enjoy that. Sometimes challenges are irritating. Sometimes we have spurts of enthusiasm. Some other times we are very dull. I'm going to discuss with you the soft aspect of time management. As I mentioned, there is no time management, but for the sake of convenience, we are going to use the word time management. What we mean is we are actually managing the outcome and not the time. I happen to read Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. I'm going to read it for you. When you are inspired by some great purpose, some extraordinary projects, all your thoughts break their bounds. Your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in every direction, and you find yourself in a new, great, and wonderful world. Dormant forces, faculties, and talents become alive, and you discover yourself to be a greater person by far than even dreamed yourself to be. Of all the quotations I've seen, this quotation, this statement influenced me a lot. I'm going to discuss with you the various dimensions of this Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. First of all, when you are inspired, believe it from me, you have to be inspired. After 2 decades of teaching time management, I have come to the conclusion that nobody can be trained, nobody can be motivated, nobody can be taught, nobody can be counseled. If people can be trained, if people can be motivated, we have had so many trainers, so many teachers, so many philosophers, especially in this ancient country like India. From Ramakrishna Paramahamsa to Swami Vivekananda, Swami Chinmayananda, and in the recent past, Dr. Abdul Kalam, a motivator of the youth. Ever so many books are being written. There are stories, books are being published. If they can change people, then we should have changed. The question is, when you were influenced. The question is, where is the hardware? And where is the software? You may have a computer, but if the computer has no software, the costliest computer is not going to produce the outcome you want. It is not the hardware configuration, but it is the software configuration. Believe it. You decide your own fate. After reading a lot of biographies of people, autobiographies of people, after meeting successful people, after reading books, I come to the conclusion that you write your own life script. You are the director of your own movie. You are making yourself. You are chiseling yourself. Like a movie director, before going to bed, take a look at the various footage of your own life. What have you done? Why have you done it? Should you have done it? Should you have done it better? If this introspection doesn't take place inside you, you cannot achieve what you wanted to achieve. The second word is inspiration. If you take a look at the dictionary meaning of the word inspire, it means a sudden clever idea. It is a spurt of an idea. Spurt, this I want to do it, I want to do that. You are inspired by people. Sometimes you are inspired by a movie, a drama, a book, an experience in life. Take for example, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. He happened to see a drama of Harichandra. He decided that day not to tell a lie. Here is a drama which helped him to write down his script in life. I go back to the history of a president of a country. Those days, John F. Kennedy used to invite school students. And he invited a group of students, and there was one student sitting in the front row in the White House. When John F. Kennedy shook hands with that boy and asked him, "My dear boy, what's your dream in life?" He said, "After looking at you, I'm inspired to come to the public life. I want to come to the public life, and I want to become the president of this country." And that boy was Bill Clinton. You may be inspired by an event. Take, for example, Thomas Alva Edison. Where was the inspiration from? He was inspired to find out the meaning why things take place. Why should not things take place this way? He saw birds flying. He wanted to know, why do they fly? Why should not human beings fly? He noticed the birds were taking worms and insects. So he thought, perhaps if you take worms and insects, you will also fly. So he took worms and insects, mixed it with food, and gave it to an old lady and watched her eating to know whether she flies. Whether he should have done that or not, I'm not going into that question. The question is, here is an inspiration. When you talk about inspiration, the inspiration, is it for a small purpose or a great purpose? If it is a great purpose, your inspiration is very high. If it is a small purpose, your inspiration is small. Somebody said, a big fire can produce more things than a small fire. The fire of inspiration. Take, for example, John F. Kennedy. And he said, this country should commit itself and prove the commitment. He said, before the end of this decade, America will send a man to the moon and bring him back safely. He said, the first human being to land on the moon shall be an American.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal, before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space, and none will be so difficult or expensive to accomplish. We propose to accelerate the development of the appropriate lunar spacecraft.
Take another person, Martin Luther King Jr. In 1950s and 60s, that people are created equal and all men are equal was not implemented so well in United States. And Martin Luther King said,
I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
The speech of Martin Luther King, which was delivered in 1963, sometime in August, became so powerful that it influenced the government to enact a special legislation on equality of people. The question is, are you inspired? Some people are inspired by looking at things happening around them. When Mahatma Gandhi was thrown out from a railway compartment, he was inspired by an experience. I'm going to give another example of Mohammad Yunus. He is a recipient of 2006 Nobel Prize for Peace. And Mohammad Yunus was a PhD from an American university teaching economics in Bangladesh. One day he was teaching economics, and during lunchtime he happened to come out of his university campus. On the platform, he saw a lady making beautiful stools out of bamboo. It was so beautiful, excellent. He goes and inquires how much profit she's making out of these beautiful stools, and he's shocked to know
she makes only 2 cents a day. I couldn't believe why she makes 2 cents a day for making that. I said, why can't you sell it to a higher price? He said, I can't sell it to anybody because I have to sell it to this person. I said, why? Because I borrowed money from him. Why did you borrow? Because I didn't have the bamboo which goes into these bamboo stools. So in order to buy the bamboo, I need the money. And I didn't have the money, so I had to borrow from the trader. And he lent me the money with the condition that I must sell my bamboo stools to him only and he decides the price. I have no control over the price. So I realized that by borrowing money, she has become a slave person.
She said, I need to borrow money from that person. On one condition alone, he will give that money, that I should sell this stool back to that person at a price he will fix. He asks her, how much money you need? She says, 20 cents. He had half a mind to take his purse and give the 20 cents to her. Then immediately he calls his assistant to find out how many such people there in the entire streets. There were 42 such small vendors borrowing money at a notorious rate of interest. And the total money for all these 42 people comes to $27. He calls those 42 people and then gives them this $27, and they say they will return it immediately as soon as the business is over. And they're very excited. They take the $27, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, $1. They make money, they sell their product at a choice market, and he gets an idea, why not extend bank loan to such people? He goes to the nearest branch of a bank and he recommends give those loan, and the bank manager says they will cheat. He says, I have given the money, they have returned it. And the bank manager says, no, over a period of time they will cheat. So he continues to give that money. 1 week, 2 weeks, he goes back to the bank. See, for the past 15 days they have been returning the money. No, how long can you give? He continues for 1 month, 2 months. The bank says, well, you may give it to the street, but what about this village? Mohammad Yunus gives it for the village, and it proves that people are not cheats. The bank manager says, why can you give it to the entire village? Mohammad Yunus gives it to the entire village and proves these people are capable of returning money promptly. He notices that the bank managers have been tutored or instructed to ask for a collateral security, bank security, to safeguard their own interest. Then Mohammad Yunus gets a big idea, inspired. Why should I not start a bank? He applies for a license, and that is the beginning of the Grameen Bank. Today, the Grameen Bank is having branches in 46,000 villages in Bangladesh, 1,267 branches, and 1,200 staff members. Their total loan disbursed is $45 million US. That is Grameen Bank. Great person, great enthusiasm, great thoughts, great actions. So when you are inspired by a great purpose, all your thoughts break their bounds. See, during the Second World War, a research was made. How many people came out of Hitler's Nazi camp? And the conclusion is, those who had a bigger compulsion to live, they escaped. Those who did not have a bigger compulsion, they perished. There's a beautiful story of a Stanislavski Ley. Stanislavski Ley, a soldier, he was taken into the Nazi camp for the only reason that he happened to be a Jew. The moment he goes there, he is driven, he is inspired. How am I going to escape? He says, I'm going to escape today. I want to escape today. He goes and asks everybody how to escape from this place. Others say, come on, you cannot do that. Don't ask such question. And he finds torture. He finds the teeth being removed without anesthesia. Everybody is asking how Hitler can be so aggressive, so cruel. That is the question in their mind. In Stanislavski Ley's mind, how am I going to escape from this? He is looking at everything. How am I going to use this to escape? How am I going to use that to escape? And one day he finds heaps of dead bodies being taken away after being gassed in a big truck. They are taken out, the bodies are taken out. He gets an idea, here is a place, here is a method, here is a strategy. When everybody goes to sleep, late in the night, he removes all his dress and throws himself along with the dead bodies. Lays there. Everything dead except Stanislavski lay. At 1 o'clock in the night, a truck comes, picks up all the dead bodies, rolls. With a lot of patience he waits because he is inspired. Stinking parts of the body is rolled, stays there. And he notices the truck leaving out of the camp. 40 miles away, the bodies are dumped. Stench all over. But he puts up because he is inspired. At 2 in the morning, when everything has settled down, there's no sound at all, he looks here and there, no sign of any movement. He gets up, runs 45 miles naked, escapes from the Nazi camp to write a book, How He Escaped. The question is, do you have a compulsion to live? Do you have an inspiration big enough to unleash, to change your thought into actionable plan? Now let us take a look at a housewife. The story shifts to 70 years ago in Calcutta. There's a wonderful family, blissful family, a husband and wife and a child. The husband wanted to be a role model, but fate decided the other way. He died. And before dying, he tells his wife, we wanted to bring up our son as a very successful personality. I'm sorry, I'm leaving. He takes a promise, will you make our son a great guy? And this lady promises, come what may, we'll make our son a proud citizen of this country. Months roll by. As ill luck would have it, this small little boy gets an attack of jaundice. 60, 70 years ago, jaundice is not so well curable. It's an acute form of jaundice. This lady, to give shape to her promise of making this boy a great boy, goes to doctor, and every doctor gives up hope until one person says, I can cure a boy on one condition. What? I'll give an injection. The boy will be cured of this jaundice, but he will lose his eyesight. Oh no, that's not what I want. I have given a promise to my husband, she said. Okay, I'll give another medicine. The boy will have his eyesight, but he'll become insane. So you choose. You want a healthy boy, sane but blind, or a healthy boy, insane but with eyesight. What a decision to make at that young age. She decides, let me have a healthy boy, even though blind. Still, I have a great purpose to be fulfilled. And the course of treatment is started, and the boy gets cured of his jaundice, but over a period of time he loses his eyesight. But this lady, with such a willpower, teaches him violin, and that great lady produced one of the greatest violinists this country has seen, Chandrasekhar. This is the story of a mother who gave expression to her great purpose, a promise that she made to her husband, which means your inspiration is not outside, but your inspiration is inside. So, are you inspired by an extraordinary project? If you are inspired for an extraordinary project, you transcend limitations. I'm excited to give the story of an young boy. Michael Stone was 14 when he created a world record of highest pole vault jump, 17 feet. And Michael Stone created a junior Olympic record of jumping 17 feet in pole vault. You know, in pole vault you need to know to run a little amount of gymnastic, flying, and safely going to the other side. The whole world was talking about him. How did Michael Stern do that? He was not happy about what he did, because he was even now he wanted to do something more. He went and told his mother, "Mommy, I'm not happy with 17 feet. I want 17 2 inches. And the mother said, "Michael, can you do that?" Michael said, "Yes." He went to his father and said, "Dad, I'm not happy with 17 feet jump. I want to do 17 2 inches. And his father said, "When you want something, work for it." And Michael worked and worked and worked. 3 months later, he assembled 25,000 spectators and said, "I'm going to clear 17 feet 2 inches. The whole town was asking, can he do that? And he did again, breaking his old record, 17 feet 2 inches pole vault. When Michael cleared 17 feet 2 inches, he was not happy, because he wanted to have even more exciting, extraordinary project. He went and told his father, "Dad, I'm not happy with 17 feet 2 inches. I want to clear 17 and 9.5. And his dad said, "When you want to do something, go for it, work for it." He went to his mother. And he said, "I want to clear 17 9.5. Michael's mother said, "Michael, you know about you, can you do that?" He said, "Yes." Then the mother said, "Think like an eagle, fly like an eagle." And Michael worked for 3 months. He did not know day or night, morning or evening. He worked and worked and worked. And one day, Michael is ready to create a new Olympic record, 17 9.5. He assembled 35,000 spectators. The spectators were sitting at the edge of their seats. Can Michael do that? His parents were asking the same question, can Michael do that? But Michael is determined. Michael is standing at the beginning of his run. When everybody is questioning, Michael is asking himself, can I do that? His willpower said, you can do that. You have to do that. You have to overcome limitations. The next second, Michael is running, is jumping, is flying, is falling at the other side. Having cleared 17 9.5, the whole 35,000 spectators rose up, gave a standing ovation. Michael is excited, emotional, choked with emotion. He falls on the ground, kisses the ground. He cries, tears of joy on his face. You know why Michael is crying? You know why the 35,000 spectators are at the edge of the seats? Not because Michael Stone cleared his own record 3 times. Not because he created at a very young age a world record. Not because his people are happy. Not because his parents are happy. But because Michael Stone is blind. Blind from birth. If Michael Stone can do that, just imagine what you and I can do that. In all the stories I have been describing, I want to impress upon you a state of mind. There are 2 states of mind, telic and paratelic. The telic state of mind, such people will look at the end result, picture that end result, make it exciting in their mind. They don't bother about the process involved. For example, you want to go up the Mount Himalayas. The telic people will look at the last frame in their mind, climbing Mount Himalayas. They don't bother climbing the hills, having oxygen tent, going through the hardship. That is the telic state. The paratelic people, they don't keep the end result, but they look at the process involved, how difficult it is going to be. In the case of Michael, in the case of Mohammad Yunus, in the case of Chandrasekhar's mother, these people had the exciting, extraordinary project as the last frame in their mind. The reason why I am saying all this is only to establish a point. Are you driven or are you being driven? If you are driven, no limitations. While I was reading all this, there is yet another story which touched my emotions. There was a great speaker who speaks in church by name Dr. Curtis. One day, Dr. Curtis receives a letter, beautifully typed letter, and the letter says, Dr. Curtis, I am emotionally touched. I have become an enthusiastic fan of yours after listening to your church speeches. I want to offer myself as a service. I will transcribe your speech. Please let me have your cassettes every Monday. I will transcribe it and give it to you every Thursday. And the letter is so beautifully typed. Dr. Curtis reads this. He thanks God. Oh, this is what exactly I was praying God. I want somebody to transcribe my work. The letter is dated, but it is not signed. It is neatly typed, Mary Louise Zolar. And Dr. Curtis telephones to the address and telephone number given in the letter. Can I talk to Zolars? And some voice picks up the phone. I'm sorry, Zolars is not in a position to handle the phone now. What can she do for you? No, I'm Dr. Curtis here. I just wanted to acknowledge and take her help. And the voice says, yes, Zolars wants to be of help every Monday. If you can send the cassette, we'll transcribe and give it to you. And Dr. Curtis offers, shall I come and deliver the cassette? And that voice says, no, Zolars would like to send somebody to pick up the cassette. This goes on. Next Monday, somebody collect the cassette, and Thursday, the transcription is ready. Not a mistake. The margin beautiful, the justification excellent, but no signature, typed Zolars. Every time Dr. Curtis wants to talk to that angel who is typing the work, the same voice picks up. He is not able to speak to Zolars. This goes on for days and weeks and years. 1,800 pages have been typed, and one day Dr. Curtis receives a call from the office of Zolars that Zolars wants to have tea with Dr. Curtis. This is exactly what he was wanting, and he accepts that tea invitation, and Dr. Curtis arrives at the address given. He has very high expectation about Zolars. What a wonderful person he should be. He rings the bell. Somebody opens the door. From the voice, he is able to recognize the same voice which used to handle the telephone. And that person says, Zolars is waiting for you. With a picture of a wonderful person, Dr. Curtis opens the door. There he sees a teenage girl sitting on a wheelchair. Her hands here, his head switching like this, but legs on a typewriter, typing the previous week's notes. Dr. Curtis is touched, and he comes to know that Zolars had an attack of paralysis at a very young age, and she trained herself to use her legs to type a typewriter. The reason I'm saying all this is, are you inspired? Are you driven? Are you being driven? When you are inspired by a greater cause, your limitations disappear. You don't complain. You don't blame. You don't criticize. You don't avoid. The question is, do you know the purpose of your living? When you are driven by a great purpose, you transcend limitations, physical limitations, mental limitations, infrastructure limitations, people limitations, environmental limitations, political limitations. You know what happens? You love your job. I'm excited to share with you what happened as early as 1883 in United States. In US, but in Brooklyn and Manhattan, an engineer by name Roebling wanted to have a bridge. It was his dream. He went to several bankers to help him in this project, and all the bankers turned it down. But he was so excited, and ultimately he convinced a banker and he got the funds for that. And he shared his dream bridge with his son Washington. And they started the bridge. Mind you, I'm talking about 1883, where there was no computers, no electronic medium of storage of information. 3 months after the bridge was started, there was an accident in the site, and Roebling was killed. His son, Washington Roebling, was so badly injured that he lost his power of speech and complete paralysis because there was a brain damage. He could hear, he could listen, he could see, but he cannot speak. No movement of any body except his little finger. There was some movement of his little finger. Everybody thought that the Brooklyn Bridge is over because nobody knew the drawing. But Washington Roebling wanted to give shape to his father's extraordinary project. The next 13 years, he called his wife and tapped his little finger, created a code of communication by tapping, communicated the entire drawing to his wife, and 13th year, the Brooklyn Bridge was constructed. It is a testimony that when you are driven by an extraordinary cause, your limitations disappear. You want to know what will be your state of mind when you are driven by an extraordinary cause? Stay with us.